Welcome to SOS and welcome to the most fucked up country in this side of Mississippi.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers to the destruction of democracy, to destruction of women. And
Oh my God, look at her face.
That's how I feel. I don't know if that'll pick up on
Her
camera.
dog is sitting on my leg and then she literally just put her face like this against my leg. That is the cutest
That's a vibe.
I've ever seen.
Because that's exactly how we feel after the law that was just passed in Texas this week. So, so if you don't know what we're talking about the new, essentially Roe v. Wade reversal in Texas. It's called like SB 8, the Senate Bill 8. And specifically on September 1st, Texas introduced a law banning abortions after the 6th week of pregnancy, which is ridiculous because most women find out at the 6-week mark.
Yes, exactly.
Like,
you don't even find out you're pregnant until about 6 weeks in a lot of the time.
Yeah. There was this one woman that was talking about this, and she's like, I've done IVF treatments, and even like, I would go in, get an IVF treatment. I want to get pregnant, so I am monitoring myself.
Yeah.
I didn't find out I was pregnant until like 5.5 weeks. And that's me monitoring, wanting a pregnancy. So she was like on it.
Checking, yeah.
So there's women that don't find out until 6-7 weeks even. So this is
I've had friends that don't find out. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
7-8 weeks in.
So 6 weeks of pregnancy, you know why? Is because they say it's when you detect the fetal heartbeat, which is bullshit. And so it states that any citizen can sue an abortion provider if they terminate a pregnancy after the 6-week mark, as well as anyone who assists the woman getting an abortion. That includes Uber drivers,
a friend that comes to
support you, and they don't even have to be like the family of the dude. Like,
no.
It could be fucking
literally anyone.
And you can be, because Texas is huge, right? You could be in
bounty hunting.
100%. You could be in like Dallas and then and get an abortion, and then someone finds out through another friend or whatever.
Someone who doesn't even know you on Facebook.
Yeah, all the way across the state in Texas and sue you, where now you're fucked because you have to find ways to get 9 hours, because you can be 9 hours away in Texas. Texas is so big.
Yeah.
And have to drive all the way out there, take off of work, find the money to pay for your attorney, the travel, lodging, taking time off of work is going to eat into it. It's just fucking crazy. And then you can lose. And then these people can win up a minimum $10,000 for suing you for that stuff. And this law, it makes no exceptions if you're raped, sexually abused,
incest,
or if incest was involved. Nothing.
Did you hear what Lyft is doing?
I did. Did you post about this, or I saw someone else maybe did?
Yeah, somebody else.
That they're like, fuck you. Oh, they're raising funds, right?
Yeah, they're raising funds so that their drivers are never held. If there are any legal fees that their drivers incur because some of this bullshit, somebody reports the driver for assisting in an abortion. Lyft is like, no, our drivers are not responsible for where their customers are going. They're not, and the customers are not required to tell. Like, this is none of their business. They're providing a driving service, and Lyft, it's going to cover 100% legal fees of any Lyft drivers who get sued by other Texans. So go Lyft for that.
Yeah, thank God. I mean, it's just fucking crazy. The fact that it incentivizes people.
Oh, it's literally like it's bounty hunting. It's bounty hunting. It's like, I mean, Jesus, the amount of people, like, this is so retro. Like, this is back like slave hunting days. It was literally like, well, I heard that so and so is hiding out here. It just based on a rumor. It doesn't even have to be true. Let alone if it's true, who cares? It's just a mess. And
the number one thing that we have to remember here is that they're not banning abortions. They're banning safe abortions.
Yes.
No, abortions have existed since the start of humankind.
Yes.
Abortions have happened. And it's been horrible. Like the process that women have to go to when they're, not easily accessible or safe. Back alley abortions. Like, that's why you see hangers everywhere. People using that as, in solidarity. Because people would use literally wire hangers, throw themselves off of, downstairs. They would have back alley ones with doctors who aren't, who are afraid, obviously, because they can get sued. Doctors.
The men who don't want these babies too there's like a history of beating the women.
Yep.
So the pregnancy doesn't even last. It's like, oh my God, the mentality of, I guarantee you that a woman who is on her way to an abortion clinic is having one of the hardest days of her life, whether
Oh
or
my
not that decision is likely one of the most agonizing things that she has ever had to go through. And no one is just skipping and trotting and parading their way to have an abortion. This is a massive life decision that women do not take lightly. And so if they've already had to go through the mental and emotional agony of making this massive decision, I guarantee you it's one of the hardest days of their life already.
Yeah.
So they do not need to be harassed and sued.
And let's be clear, this is not just like any woman, because I guarantee you the wealthy women of Texas, specifically white wealthy women of Texas, will have no problem going to New Mexico, which New Mexico, and you know, I fucking love that state, are already preparing to take in women at their clinics.
The men who are impregnating their mistresses or their or just their regular wives or girlfriends or whatever who don't want a baby, who have the means, will pay for her to go somewhere else and get it
We'll
done.
have no
You're
problem.
not preventing abortion.
No, this is an attack on
Marginalized communities.
Communities of color, women, people with disabilities. It's like, it's just so
Low socioeconomic status.
asinine that you think any sort of abortion ban makes any fucking sense. It reminds me, it's like the same thing with like Reaganomics and, well, I don't, maybe not Reaganomics, but Reagan specifically on his war on drugs.
Yes.
It's like, what the fuck are you doing? You're not going to get rid of drugs.
No,
like,
you never will.
Like, look at the fucking opioid crisis
You're honestly just
in this country.
driving the value of it up.
Yeah, and just imprisoning people who come from marginalized communities where they don't have any sort of access to education or ways to understand a better life. Like, it's just what happens in these communities. Like, there's no stopping it.
Yeah.
Like, it's just so backwards.
The Supreme Court decided not to chime in on whether to stop this law in Texas before it was enacted.
Yeah, thanks.
And so the court simply let a midnight deadline pass without acting on a request to stop it.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah, so thank you, Supreme Court. Thank you to everybody that didn't vote in 2016, because now we have what's the majority? It's like 6-4 conservative justices that are there. And, this is why it's so important.
By multiple presidents who lost the popular vote.
Exactly.
By millions.
Exactly.
So you were appointed.
The Supreme Court.
You were appointed by a president who did not win the popular vote multiple times over.
And there's
with Bush.
Yeah. And they're there until they die.
Yeah.
Until they fucking
They're the ones
die.
with the real power here. Like, a president is a power position, but it's also a figurehead because you're 8 years max. These people are there until the end of their time on this planet. And they're appointed by people. Like, we are not in a democracy. We're not in a democracy because the people running this country are not even the ones popular that most people want there.
Yeah.
It's just
abolish the Supreme Court. I don't give a fuck. Oh, we can't, because I don't give a fuck. We need to get rid of them. Give them term sentences, or at least.
Restructuring, yes, it's hard. It's like, oh, that's going to be a whole. Yes, it is. But you know what else is a whole thing? Is the continued oppression of Black and brown communities, of women, of, anybody who's not white and straight man.
Yeah, I think Pete Buttigieg had like a really good idea when he was running for president. He still talks about this, of just like creating a Supreme Court where it would be more equal. So there'd be like 4 more, conservative leaning, 4 liberal leaning, and then two centrists. That makes more sense to me. Yep. I get rid of all the centrists and all the conservatives, but whatever. That makes more sense to me that way, or like one centrist that could like tip the vote, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's the same with like the Electoral College, like that. They represent most. If you do a head count, most people in this country are liberal, like by. And
it's not even just like liberal, it's getting more progressive and leftist as generations go on.
It's just most people are. But if you go by, the Electoral College is ridiculous because a red state holds more power than California, for example, which has thousands more people than this other state,
Yep,
and yet
that's
they
why it's
have
such a
fewer
big deal.
representation, less representation. Yeah, so I mean, we all know this. This is just us kind of ranting, but also, how many times do we get another, some progress is made, and then it's just another slap in the face to women, like, don't forget your place. Like, don't you forget.
Don't forget, you don't really exist.
You don't really matter like that.
Yeah.
And don't get it twisted. And that's the same thing that happens in the Black community. It's like, oh, things are better than they used to be. Oh, Obama was here. And then, George Floyd, like, don't forget, this is still your place in society. And that's what this is.
I just want to, I do and I don't want to talk to somebody who's pro-life. Like here, I don't, you know what I mean? I do.
But I'm down to hear if you're down to hear.
Because this is the thing. What do you think you're actually accomplishing here? Like, what do you really want to do? And I'm going to pretend to be that person for a second. They're because I listen to a lot of them on other podcasts and in the news and stuff like that. And a lot of the talking head is we have to save the babies. We have to save them. It's the voice of the unborn. That's what we're protecting, the voice of the unborn.
The voice of the born.
Exactly. That's exactly what I would say afterwards. It's like, okay, great. So now in Texas, there's going to be an influx of babies being born. What are you prepared to do with the families that are on welfare, or they can't handle them? They're 14-year-olds, 13, 12-year-olds with babies now. What are you going to do for them? Well, I'd love to, maybe do some sort of funds for them. No, you're not.
However, Texas's average is,
what are you talking about?
Like their what's the term? Food scarcity, or like the amount of youths, so like from babies to, just anyone underage who has limited access to food and is actually in the danger zone for food accessibility. Texas's average of youths with that problem is higher than the national average. They already, as a state, are not able to take care of the children in their state.
Yeah, no.
I mean, not that any state has it perfectly, but Texas's actual numbers are worse than the rest of the country in terms of taking care of their children.
Children and pregnant women.
Yes.
There's like little to no access to good maternity care. Maternity wards are closing down in so many maternity. There's not even a lot of maternity wards available.
And then
what is going on?
Of like death of mothers who are Black or of color in
already
childbirth
fucked.
Is incredibly higher
In this country. It's not just like in the world where like third world countries. No, in this first world country, the US of A, the best country in the world, you're getting insane amount of women dying in childbirth, women of color, and we don't give a fuck. Like, and let's talk about the children in foster care. There's like in Texas alone, over 500,000 children in foster care that are just going to be living in the system and dumped when they're 18, because that's exactly what happens. The adoption, the foster care system and the process in which you adopt, it's just so impossible and expensive. And these children are just fucking lost until they're dumped on the street at 18.
Yeah, but they're also dumped into the system where the amount of loopholes that are available for people to take in a foster child just so that they can get money from the government.
Yeah, abuse.
And assistance. Yeah, and they just take in a foster child to have it as a write-off, and the abusive environments that they're in. And after that abuse, then they're quote unquote dumped into the world. Their whole life, they've just dumped.
And not only that, I can't remember the stats right now, but there are so many children who grow up in the foster care system who get abused and pregnant.
Yep.
And then they need access to abortion care and whatever.
Oh, is this like...
And birth control, but they don't have it. And now it's just a fucking circle.
Yeah.
A never-ending circle of being in the foster care system where they're not respected, they're not supported, they're not taken care of.
Yeah.
And Texas as a whole is unprepared for this, let alone this country is unprepared for this. We don't have a system to take care of all of the influx of babies that are going to happen.
No, because we don't know how to take care of the current ones.
Yeah. And this law is so dangerous because now other states that are already leaning, are red and already leaning to get rid of abortion rights, like Florida just announced that they're mirroring the ban in Texas, that they're getting the Senate there is getting a bill that mirrors the one from Texas.
I thought this was widely understood, but I've been seeing on social media that it is widely misunderstood, apparently. Let's just get this clear. Vasectomies are reversible.
Yeah. What the fuck?
Completely reversible with limited downtime and effects. The effects being you just had a surgery, you might want to like lay on the couch today and ice your balls. That's it.
Oh, God forbid.
And, yeah. Oh my God. And it's just like it's completely reversible. And women, which also we didn't learn this until adulthood, that there are only about 2 to 3 days a month that we are even able to get pregnant. We're raised to believe that I could get pregnant any day at any time. If I have sex any day, anytime, I could just get pregnant. Yeah. No, we have a window of 3 days or so on average that we're even able to get pregnant each month. A man can impregnate a woman any day of his life. Any day of his life.
Any fucking day.
So this is so incredibly skewed. We all know that if men were the ones getting pregnant, you could have an abortion at an ATM.
At an ATM, any block, whatever you want, abortion pills, they'd be abortion gummy bears.
And the fees would be covered by your insurance and abortion gummy bears. It would be. Would you like pineapple or grape?
Pineapple, bait, fetus shaped.
Oh my God, it would be.
So dark.
Wow.
It's like, what the fuck?
It's just one of those things.
It's also like, if you actually believe, it's like they don't actually believe this shit. These pro-lifers, I don't believe you. I don't fucking believe you. When you're outside of abortion clinics and you're protesting and yelling at mothers who are yelling at, women who are going in there making agonizing decisions, I don't fucking believe you that you believe babies are being killed in there, because where is your fucking compassion or where's the hubbub when on IVF clinics when they're getting rid of embryos out of the fucking wazoo all the time? We don't talk about all the embryos that are wasted at IVF clinics. They're not there. They're there to get in women's faces because women are not human beings. And even at the end of the day,
no, they're not viewed. We're not viewed as full human beings. Well, and also the title that we are given to call one side pro-life indicates that the other side is pro-death. That even the title is manipulative, where it's okay, pro-choice is what we're not pro-death, we're pro-choice, but actually to call that one side pro-life, it's manipulative, and it's actually pro-life. If you want to call yourselves pro-life, then I'm going to say we're pro-quality of life, because you can bring a life onto this planet. Yeah, they're pro-birth, and birth can. Has anyone ever seen a movie? Has anyone ever heard of trauma? Has anyone ever?
And I bet they're for the death penalty too. They're 100% they're for the death penalty, and they don't give a fuck when a black kid is shot in the street. They don't give a fuck. They should have been following orders.
Yeah, they should have been. Oh, they were following orders. Well, it's their fault because they were. It was just a mistake.
Were they jaywalking? They were probably jaywalking. You know what I mean? They should have worn a hood. Yeah, exactly. I don't believe you. I don't believe you. Then I would hear the hubbub when it comes to IVF clinics getting rid of embryos by the hundreds.
That's a really good point.
I would hear it when it comes to masturbation. Why aren't you getting mad at men who are jerking off their seed, and that is a potential life that's being discarded and wasted? What the fuck? And why are we giving Viagra to unmarried men?
Yeah.
Why?
Lord Jesus.
Why?
And why aren't vasectomy we've talked about this before, but I know there's the tests that have been done on male birth control, for example, the clinical tests weren't even completed. Why? Because men experienced 7 of the 30 symptoms that women experience on regular birth control.
They're moody and tired.
A little moody, a little tired, some cramping in the pelvic area. And it was literally, and they stopped the study though. They didn't even finish the study. They were like, oh no, we don't want them to have to deal with this. Yeah. Meanwhile, we deal with this every month, regularly. All our adult lives.
I want to kind of break down the fetal heartbeat of it all, because that's really why they chose the 6-week mark for this bill specifically. And I need people to know, because it's something that I had recently learned as well, about what that really means. And it's not what you think. So the justification for selecting 6 weeks as a limitation is that this is supposedly the point at which the first fetal heartbeat can be detected. Yet the idea is contested by so many doctors and organizations. Dr. Saima Aftab, he's a medical director of the Fetal Care Center at Nick Gloss Children's Hospital in Miami. He says, when we talk about a fetal heartbeat at 6 weeks, what we are actually referring to is a flutter in the region where the heart will form. So basically that means the flutter can be detected by an ultrasound, but is a little more than a cluster of cells that will become the heart, gaining the capacity to transmit electrical signals.
Wow, so the heart's not even there yet.
No, it's a flutter. The flutter is different from what we picture as a beating heart and can't be heard by doctors via stethoscope. When a doctor listens to a patient's heartbeat with a stethoscope, what they're detecting is the opening and closing of cardiac valves that don't yet exist at this stage of development. That doesn't exist at 6 weeks. So it's not a heartbeat. It's like a bunch of cells that are fluttering. It's like, it's not real. Other doctors and organizations agree with him. Another one is Dr. Michael Kakovic. He's a maternal fetal medicine specialist at Ohio State University's Wexner Medical Center. He told the Associated Press that there are amazing technological advances that are able to pick up the embryonic cardiac activity in its earliest stages, which is what it is. Even the term fetal may be considered inaccurate when talking about a pregnancy at 6 weeks. At this stage, embryo is the correct term, with fetus only becoming apical after 8 weeks, 9 weeks of development. So that's another thing too. It's not even a fetus yet. It's still an embryo.
Yeah.
Like we're putting all this emphasis on, well, we got to save the babies. They're killing babies. They're fucking little cells, motherfucker. Like they're little embryos. They're not even considered fetuses scientifically.
And if you're going that far, like you said, why, like IVF, masturbation, why isn't, honestly, having a period a problem? Because there's an egg that's wasted.
Yep.
Like, how far do you really go with this? And then let it be someone's family member. Let it be someone happens to themselves. They're, God forbid, they're raped. Their family member is raped. Somebody's in an abusive relationship, has a child, or honestly, has a child. You don't even have to go to the extremes of rape or incest.
That's none of your business.
It's none of your business. And then, but honestly, let it be somebody's 16-year-old daughter. Like, so I cannot have my child can't be a pregnant teen. No, honey, we'll take you across state lines, and you can have this taken care of.
Yeah, because they'll have the means to do that when other people don't. There's so many stories too of like pro-lifers who picket abortion clinics and then have to, like, on a day off, they go to get their abortion because they don't want to go. They go on the times where their protest buddies aren't there because they're so ashamed. It happens all the fucking time. And so now there's a lot of things that could possibly happen from here. So if a private citizen sues someone for allegedly violating the abortion ban, abortion rights groups and providers are going to challenge the lawsuit. And the constitutionality of the new law will be heard in the courts, and the case will go to the Supreme Court again. They're coming back in the fall. So hopefully something will happen there.
Yeah.
And regardless of what happens with the Texas case, the Supreme Court will hear arguments in another abortion case in the fall. Like I said, a Mississippi law that bans most abortions after 15 weeks is going to be heard. Groups that oppose abortion hope that the High Court will use that case to overturn Roe v. Wade, the decision that first established a woman's constitutional right to terminate pregnancy. And the Congress could step in. There's no federal law protecting abortion rights right now, and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said the House would vote on such a bill soon, but everyone's counting on Republicans in the Senate to vote that down. Oh my God, did you hear about the website?
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, whistleblow.
So they had this fucking website. Like, the government has their own whistleblowing website where you basically type in all the information about if you heard or see anybody get an abortion. You could type in their information.
Literally,
anybody that assisted them.
After 9/11 with and if you see something, say something.
Yes.
The airport thing. Oh my God, there's a suitcase by itself. It's a bomb.
Yeah. Like, this is this times a billion. It's like you're actually like telling on people you think have gotten abortion and anybody that was involved. Jesus. But there was a trend or movement, if you will, of women, or no, people in general, trolling the website and putting in like fake information, like, you know, what's the name of the person that got an abortion? Your mom, like doctor fuck you or something. Did it.
Yep.
And this one kid too, Sean Black, I think his name is. He's so fucking dope. He's a coder. He's like 20 years old, and he created a bot that automatically sends out like 100 fake.
Oh my God.
Little application or forms.
Yep.
A minute.
Wow.
And they got it taken down, ladies and gentlemen. GoDaddy took the site down, so fuck you. Fuck that whistleblow site.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's good news.
This literally reminds me of like when you hear a story like medieval times where somebody in the town does something, the whole town's mad, then they rush to their house with torches and pitchforks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like we are back there.
We really are.
That's what this is.
So kind of basically what we want to do here is light fire in everyone's minds about how important this is to vote in the 2022 elections, because I think this might be bad for them in the long run. Like, I feel like people are going to get fired up after this and start voting these motherfuckers out. Hopefully. So please, just if you're not registered to vote, just do it and pay attention to who you're voting for.
Yes.
And make sure women's rights are in your brain, because it's not even just women, it's people of color, marginalized communities. This is just
everybody.
A fucking joke. So we're going to put resource info for all these amazing articles that helped us make this episode what it is. And shout out Planned Parenthood, shout out Lilith Fund. They're the oldest abortion fund in Texas. They provide financial assistance and emotional support while building community spaces for people who need abortions in Texas unapologetically with compassion and conviction. Through organizing and movement building, they foster a positive culture around abortion, strengthen people's power, and fight for reproductive justice in and around their communities. To learn more and donate, please visit the lilithfund.org.
Yes, and please follow us Instagram and Twitter at the SOS Pod. Please DM us your opinions on our episode topics. If you have topics you want to hear about, rate and review on Apple Podcasts. That helps us reach more people.
We're on Patreon.
Yes.
Shout out to Steve and Nija for being OG patrons. So go on our Patreon, please. Help us out, $3, $7, $11. You know, we do this for you.
Yes. And I'm Molly Cottrell.
I'm Melissa Rosano.
Here's the Turning Meltdown
into Magic.